Hey guys, this is Marshall from Orchard Hill Farm Equipment, and today we are going to start off by showing you two different tractors again. This is going to be a CS series versus a CX series tractor. So that basically is Kioti's subcompact line of tractors, which is their smallest machine that they offer, as well as their line above that, which is a small compact tractor. There's some major differences between these, but there's also a lot of similarities. These are very, very commonly compared to side by side, and often it's hard for the customer to make the right decision as to which one's the best for their property. So we're going to go over what their features are, maybe which one might be good for your property today or your application. Go over some of their differences, and maybe potentially touch on a little bit of cost differences, attachment differences, and so forth. So basically, in a nutshell, both these tractors are usually commonly sold to people with a small piece of property. And by small, we're considering anywhere from maybe 1 to 15 acres. Saying that's everybody. Some people, have 50 acres and own a CS. I mean, everybody's different, but general rule of thumb, if you're working land and you have 1 to 15 acres, these can be a common purchase for you. And yeah, so let's start off by talking a little bit about what the differences are. So behind me right here is a CS2220. The CS2220 also comes in a 2520. It's no different in size, just more engine horsepower. We commonly sell mostly the CS2220. This loader is going to lift up around 1,000 pounds to full height, which for its size is actually quite well. In the subcompact industry and the tractors that compare to this, a lot of them don't reach that 1,000-pound mark to full height. So 1,000 pounds, it's going to come standard with a 48-inch quick attach front bucket, and that's the skid steer style, so you can pop the bucket off. The bucket is pre-drilled for bolt-on cutting edge. Loader comes with a grill guard to protect the front hood. The hood is metal, and we're right around 21 horsepower on the CS2220. So that's going to be, your front loader. Now, removing the front loader is a quick release front loader, or what I call a quick park. You'll see the spring latch system. That is going to be a difference from the other unit that we're going to look at in a minute. The kickstands will fold down, and then in back of the loader here, you have some color-coded quick disconnect hydraulic lines. Coming over to the CX2510, you're going to notice the loader's a little bit taller, a little bit beefier. The bucket is bigger. The bucket is not that much bigger, though. It's still only 50 inches. So 2 inches wider. There is a little bit of more height to it, though, and a hair more depth. So that's different. This loader does pick up more, but not as much as you might expect. It's around 1,200 pounds to full height. I feel that you can stretch that number a little bit higher than that 1,200 as long as it's lower to the ground. So there's more of a difference between these two machines as far as breakout force, which means, the tip of that bucket breaking something out of the ground. There's a lot bigger of a difference than just that 200 pounds that the lift capacity is different. So look in the spec sheet for that. So this definitely has a lot more hydraulic power, but it's not going to say lift up double the weight of that machine. It's just going to lift up maybe 20% more weight than that machine. With that, obviously this tractor is lifting a little bit more, but it also is going to reach higher. So it's going to reach up. I know the spec on this one's around 86, 87 inches to the bottom pivot pin here at full height. I don't recall what the CS is, but I know it's at least 5 to 8 inches less, maybe even less than that. From this unit here. Grill guard standard when you get the loader, which is nice. Some of the hoses here are, protected, if you will, with some coils that are not on the CS. Not that that matters a whole lot. This loader does remove just like the CS, but instead of that quick release spring latch system, it has this pin, and you pull that up and then you can yank it out. Now that'll only come out easy if you lock these kickstands down and drop that loader fully to the ground. The loader is also quick release hydraulic lines on the opposite side, so pretty much similar steps taking off the loader. And as I mentioned, guard standard with this loader as well. This machine is a CX2510. It's 24.5 engine horsepower, so a bigger motor for sure over the CS. Definitely going to produce a little bit more power, and bigger hydraulic pumps as well. So that's where you're getting more breakout force. And maybe faster response on turning, steering, driving, all that stuff. The hood on this one is plastic, so that is a difference, and it always has been on the CX. I really don't have any complaints. The hood is pieced together in a handful of pieces, so it's not like if you crack one part of the hood, you got to replace the whole thing. That's one nice thing they did about it. So generally you crack a section, it's just one piece you're buying. You're not buying the whole hood, which is a good thing. The headlights are pretty standard headlights on both of them. This one comes with a load level indicator to help you know when your bucket's level with the ground, which is a nice add-on feature that comes standard on the CX. The CX2510 only comes in one model. It's the CX2510, but 3 variants. So you're going to have a hydrostatic open station and a gear shift open station. The gear shift is going to be your most economied option on this series. And then you're going to have a hydrostatic cab option with factory heat and AC. So that is a little bit about the CX. The CS, you're only going to have the open station 2220 and the 2520. Who's to know if in the future, you know, we get a factory cab at some point on that CS, but as of right now, it's not an option. There is, however, an addable field cab to that CS. Coming over to the operator station, we'll touch on this operator station, then touch on the CS. So, you know, you got a nice step with a reinforcement piece there, so holds the weight pretty well of somebody getting in and out of there. Nice rubber floor mat on the floorboard. Pretty open floorboard. You have a little bit of a transmission hump, but nothing more than maybe 2 inches tall. So quite easy to move your legs around, get in and out of the tractor. There's a clutch pedal. This clutch pedal is simply to turn on and off your power takeoff. So if you have a rear snowblower, rear brush hog, turning that on and off. And also it's used to fire up the tractor. So you push down on that, turn your key over, and it will start up the tractor. There is a 2-range transmission, low and high range on this series. A cup holder. If you get a gear shift, you won't have a cup holder here. Grab handle to get in and out on this side, because you're getting in and out on this side most of the time. Retractable seat, well, actually, I'm wrong. It is not a retractable seat belt on the CX, and that is a complaint by some customers. We've actually done some swap outs to make them retractable for customers on these units. I don't know why, but the CX has always not been a retractable one, so the seat belt kind of just hangs around there. Retractable armrests. Down on the ground here, you're going to have a differential lock mechanical and four-wheel drive mechanical lever, as well as the hydraulic oil checkpoint right there on the hydro. On the gear shift, your hydraulic oil checkpoint is a sight glass. I want to say it's on the side of the transmission on a sight glass. You have a tilt steering wheel on this model, so you loosen that, and the steering wheel will tilt up and down. You're going to have standard headlights, horn, blinkers, all that stuff. This machine comes standard with cruise control if you get a hydrostatic, which is a great feature. So for guys that are mowing for 5 hours or something, you can lock that forward pedal down with the push of the cruise control and let off the pedal and just steer your tractor. That's a great feature that comes standard on this unit. Throttle here, 4-way directionals, single parking brake with a latch system. And over on this side, we're going to have our loader joystick, which is very comfortable. You know, you got your armrest here, and where does your hand go? Pretty much right there. So nice and comfortable. And a loader lockout, so nobody can mess with your loader. 12-volt outlet right there, and also a couple USB ports. And if you want to call it a phone holder, again, I don't know if I'd trust a phone in there, but yeah, that's that. Standard, we're going to have 3-point hitch control with a lockout for the height on that 3-point hitch. So basically you loosen that up, bring that up. Okay, every time you drop your 3-point hitch, drops to the same height. So your mower starts at that same cutting height every time you drop it. This unit has a backhoe on it, which we'll talk about in a few minutes with the function. So that's what this is. This is a rear remote, which comes when you get a backhoe. If you don't have a backhoe, this would not be on here. So it's the rear hydraulics for the backhoe, but also can be used for other stuff. Down here we have a hydraulic oil filter, flow control for your 3-point hitch, very heavy casting on, you know, the transmission, engine oil, hydraulic oil fill right there, which is a nice spot tucked away. The seat is a pretty deluxe seat, so you're going to notice right here the compression is adjusted with this turn knob here, and the forward and reverse is this little lever here, and then you can scoot your seat forward and reverse. You got quite a bit of play there, so that's nice. Very nice seat. They did a good job, other than, I guess, the non-retractable seat belt that some people, you know, complain about. Metal fenders, very rugged built, metal fuel tank, folding ROPS bar. So all that's very well constructed. We'll walk over, show you what is all about on this CS here's operator station. So there is no step to get in on either side. That's a difference, but it's also a lower tractor. We have the same tilt steering wheel mechanism, with this lever and the tilt wheel. Your headlights are in the same position, horn, all that stuff. Your power takeoff's a little different. So there's no clutch pedal associated with this. This is an electronic hydraulic PTO on and off. So a little different there. Your key to start's in a similar location. Your throttle's in a similar location. Your hydrostatic pedals are the same, and we didn't touch on that on the other machine, but they're side-by-side hydrostatic pedals that are recessed all the way forward of your floorboard, so there's plenty of room for a big foot to get in and out. And again, forward and reverse, side-by-side, no rocker. Over here, we have a low and a high range, just like the CX, so same transmission. We have a loader lockout to lock the loader, just like the CX. Loader joystick's in an excellent position. Tons of features and very, very smooth operated. Now there is an armrest option if you want, so you can set your arm on an armrest right there, but it doesn't come standard on this model. The 3-point hitch control is a little bit different. Most of the time on a subcompact, it's just going to be a single lever like this without any jam nut stops. So that's what this is. So that's a difference on the CX. You physically have a height stopper for every time to drop it down. Fuel tank right here. On the CX, it's actually all the way in the back. So this one goes underneath the fender, underneath your seat area, built in the tractor. The CX sits fully in back of the tractor. CX is going to hold a couple gallons more than this, but these both hold plenty of fuel for day-to-day use. Toolbox standard on this, and it is on the CX in the back as well. Folding ROPS bar on both of these, so you can get in a low-lying garage. This tractor over here on this side has a few features that the CX does not. So this is a height adjustment for your mid, what I call the mid hitch, meaning if you hooked a Midmount Mower, this is the cutting height. Every time you drop it, it drops to 2-inch or whatever for that Midmount Mower. So that's what this is. The CX doesn't have that standard anyways. This is your PTO, physically not turning it on and off, but selecting which PTO you want to use. So there's a rear PTO as well as a middle PTO on these machines. You can run one at a time or both at the same time, aka a mid mower and a PTO bagger on the back. You'd run both at the same time. So that's a feature that you don't get on the CX. You get a middle PTO. That's about $600 to $900 option on the CX that doesn't come standard. This unit does have cruise control, so that's a good feature. I like that they put that on this. Differential lock and your four-wheel drive levers are mechanical as well. So differential lock and four-wheel drive are pretty much the same, mechanical. And then this is your flow control. If we take a peek at the seat here, kind of what's going on, this seat does have a retractable seat belt, which is nice. It does come forward and reverse. There's a lever right here. But you're going to notice it's just sitting on springs. I find it still to be pretty comfortable, but for sure, there's nothing that beats that CX seat for sure. So with the armrests and the hydraulic cushion adjustment. With a cheaper tractor and less heavy and whatnot, you're not going to need the craziest, most expensive seat. So again, armrest can get added to this and it's still pretty dang comfortable as it is. This does actually over here have a cup holder, phone holder, and a 12-volt outlet and USB ports as well, just like the CX. So they're pretty similar as far as that aspect goes, as well as a parking brake, singular parking brake too. Ground clearance, if we pay attention to the ground clearance underneath this tractor, you're going to notice that this one, for its small size, has decent ground clearance. It's not bad. I find it to be very good and sucked up, pretty tall on this unit. Now we're going to come over here on the CX, and we're going to know something right off the bat. There's this big honking metal frame underneath. Now, that's because there's a backhoe on right now. If we remove that backhoe, you're going to gain all that ground clearance back. So the CX has more ground clearance because they're taller tires, but not a whole lot more. That CS is pretty dang good for its ground clearance for a small size. One thing that I will mention on a subcompact versus a compact tractor, you have a hydrostatic fan to cool the hydrostatic unit in the transmission. That fan has to breathe underneath the tractor, meaning it's exposed to sticks getting at it, debris and whatnot. It's a pretty cheap fan, not expensive to replace. And I will tell you, if you own a subcompact, you will be replacing it. It's a very common service job that's done. Could you cover it up? Yeah, there's some aftermarket companies that make some covers for them. It does protect them a little bit, but it does take away from the ability to cool as well. So it's going to cut down on how cool it can keep it. So keep that in mind, a little bit more service as far as doing that on these. It's not terrible to do. If you don't know what an HST fan is, look up on YouTube, what is an HST fan or replacement of. Some older tractors are a nightmare to replace, so the newer ones have gotten a little easier. They know that it's something that gets worn out from hitting sticks and stuff over the years. So yeah, that's that. Both of these have Dayton Kioti motors, so it's not like one's running an aftermarket engine, as well as everything else being Kioti on both these machines, which we're proud to present. Now, both these machines can add a mid-mount mower. The CX would offer a 60-inch commercial grade fully fabricated deck, which is a drive over deck and removable. And the CS, being a subcompact, offers a stamped out deck, but it is a very beefy one, and it is a drive overable deck and quick release and whatnot. Now they offer a 54 and a 60 on this and only a 60 on that. So mid-mount mowers are an option on both. Now I should mention this, subcompacts have another benefit. When you have a backhoe on a subcompact, they're built in a little bit differently than a compact. They don't go underneath the tractor. So if you look at that frame underneath there and envision this tractor also having a mid-mount mower underneath it, guess what? There's nowhere for the mid-mount mower to go. So on a CX, you cannot have a mid-mount mower, loader, backhoe all on and assembled at once. On a CS, you can. If we had a backhoe, there would not be a frame that goes underneath. It would actually go, on the side of the transmission, a little bit differently worked in. So a benefit to a CS is you can have all that on at once, and a CX you can't. So that's something to point out. These both can offer a front snowblower, 50-inch on the CS, 54 on the CX. These both can offer a backhoe, as we mentioned. Now, bigger backhoe on this unit with a separate seat. So this backhoe has a separate seat on it and is plumbed in via rear hydraulic remotes. So you get a valving system, aka if you remove your backhoe, you got hydraulics back here to operate a chute on a snowblower or a hydraulic log splitter and so forth. On a CS, they plumb in the hydraulics a little differently so you don't get an actual valve to control it. Backhoe sits a little further away from the tractor because we got the underslung frame, but at the same time, the benefit is you keep your 3-point hitch arms on when your backhoe's on. So you take your backhoe off, you're ready to back up to your box blade, which is a great feature. 6.5 foot digging depth. This is running a 16-inch bucket, but you can run a 12-inch or a 9-inch on these buckets, and replaceable teeth. The backhoe has a lot of features as far as, the lock for the boom. There's a lock for the sway. That's what this pin is here, to sway side to side. There's locks for these side outriggers that hold these on. And all those are features of the CS backhoe. But the CS backhoe is closer to the tractor because it's not worked underneath. It's worked in the side of the transmission. So closer backhoe, swivel seat when you get a backhoe on the CS. So that is a major difference that I might point out. Some people cannot stand that swivel seat. Some people want it and desire it a lot. It depends on who you are and what your application is, but that's something to point out. Mechanical thumb is available for both machines' backhoes. Obviously, just like the loader, there's going to be a lot more breakout force with this backhoe than the CS, but you'll be surprised that CS backhoe is a pretty good performer for its small size. So you got a KB2465 is the model number on this backhoe, and you'd have an SB2420 on the CS. So that's a little difference as far as the backhoes go. Each tractor has a handful of tire choices. On the CX, these are R4 industrial tires, which are common, but you can also get R14 or turf or agricultural tires, so 4 choices. The CS over here, these are R14 tires, which are offered, and you can get turf tires as well as industrial tires. Ag tires are not an option on this machine. Lastly, we'll talk about the 3-point hitch, and that'll pretty much sum it up. So a 3-point hitch on this machine is a full Category 1 with a little small drawbar that is stationary there in the back. And then nice thing is to pay attention to is this is a full Category 1 3-point hitch, not a limited Category 1. A lot of subcompacts on the market of this class tractor are limited. What does that mean? You are limited as to how wide these open, meaning, you know, some attachments have pins that are spread this wide and some of them are this wide. And if you're limited, you can't fully widen it. So these, obviously it sounds like they're limited, but you loosen this up and you can adjust these way, way wider. So this is a full category 1 on a subcompact. Very important to know about that. And I know this has a backhoe on it, so you can kind of see the 3-point hitch there. All category 1, obviously very beefy, removable drawbar here, PTO shield, and obviously rear remotes because this is a backhoe, but if you didn't have a backhoe, you would not be getting the rear remotes. So very heavy rear end. They did a good job. So this CX has been reproduced for many, many years. It's been out for quite a long time now, and then before that it was a CK2510, very, very popular seller, great model. And before that it was like a CK25 and CK20. So things have changed over the years, but a lot of this has stayed the same and been reproduced and been bulletproof, which is a good thing. And obviously with modern day, things get updated, you know, new features, faster hydraulic systems, all that stuff gets added. And the CS20 series has been around for a handful of years now, but prior to that, it was called the CS2210, and then prior to that, it was a CS2410. So there's decades on both these machines on reliability, performance, and over the years, they've just upped them as far as lift capacity goes, hydraulic power, and features. So yeah, both great machines, and both have, you know, have been out there for a while and proven, which is a great thing. One thing I will mention that both these machines are commonly stocked on our lots. They're a really tough one to figure out what you need. Oftentimes people will go, you know, with one of these two tractors on a smaller piece of property. And the biggest thing is weight. This tractor is going to be a lot heavier. If you have a lot of heavy lifting to do and so forth, then this is going to be a little bit better for you than this machine. This machine might feel a little bit more tippy because it's lighter and smaller tires. So that's something to play around with. As far as the attachments go, that might persuade you one way or the other. The lift capacity, this, you know, lifting 1,000 pounds every day is its job. It's okay for this machine. I will say this will achieve it, but it'll be quite tippy and a little scary at 1,000 pounds because it is a light subcompact. So definitely something to pay attention to. Both of them are pretty much similar width, so about 52 inches wide on this machine to about 48 on this. So similar width, but maybe this one fits in tighter areas. The length of the wheelbase is shorter, all that stuff. So you're going to fit in tighter areas. But both are great machines. I mean, if you make the choice to go smaller and then 4 years down the road need to upgrade, on a small tractor like this, it doesn't hurt nearly as much as a big tractor, a 40, 50, 60 horse machine. There's a lot less money to lose on a tractor like this. And these are really desirable because people with smaller properties are everywhere and they're always looking for a cheap used tractor that's going to get the job done without breaking the bank. So on these small ones, I don't think you can go wrong by checking out both of them. But if you do make the decision and go with the wrong one, I don't think you're going to be out tens of thousands of dollars by any means. No, no, no. So just keep that in mind. But if you guys got questions, shoot us a message or email us or comment in the video, and we'll try to get back to you guys as far as any other questions you guys got between these two models. We definitely love these products and are proud to support them. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys. On average, these machines are going to be about $4,000 to $6,000 apart from each other, depending on the configuration you go with. We meant to mention, you know, pricing earlier. We just wanted to touch on it. And with that, also attachments are going to, you know, be slightly different by a couple $100. Obviously more expensive on the CX attachments. So $4,000 to $5,000 gap isn't a crazy amount when you're, you know, spending this type of money. And in a monthly payment term, that could be, you know, $60 a month, $70 a month for a completely different tractor. So that's a little bit about pricing. There's always great, you know, financing promotions. Currently, there's 0% on both this and the CX series. So just wanted to, you know, tap back in and mention the pricing because I know I promised I would in the beginning. Thanks.